Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football, and welcome back to the Winning Drive, the prime time edition. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by another lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy himself, CJ Vogel. Lots to get into on the show today. I'm giddy about the show today, honestly, because we hadn't heard from Steve Sarkisian since the Citrus Bowl. He talked to the media today. CJ was there on site, so we'll get CJ's thoughts. We got some video courtesy of CJ and also my man Matthew behind the scenes that will play from today's media availability with Steve Sarkisian. Whatever you guys want to talk about, questions, comments, throw them out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. Lifetime Longhorn, my former teammate Stevie Lee is going to join us early on in the show, and we'll talk to him about maybe some of the things that Sark had to say. But we appreciate all you guys joining us. CJ, you were there. Boots on the ground. What do you think of Sark's media availability? First of all, how long was it? Was it a long one? How long was this thing?
Oh, man. I think he spoke for probably 45 or 50 minutes.
Nice. Good for you, Sark.
It was our first time hearing from Sark since the Michigan game. So a lot has obviously happened. You go out, you sign Cam Coleman. We got to hear about that. We got to hear about the offensive line additions and some updates on what's next or what's still to come for Lawrence Seymour, as well as a nice little look ahead to spring football as well. So for folks who were having a little bit of an itch for Texas football, there's been a void there. They got a little taste of that this afternoon.
I think that's why I'm so giddy about the show today. Even actually not real football, but start talking about football is enough. All right, so we'll get to that coming up. We got some video from Steve Sarkisian we'll get to, and of course your questions, comments. Throw them out there. Like I said, we'll get to them as fast as we can. We got my man Stevie Lee coming on. Before we do that, let's thank our lead sponsor of the program, our friends at Von Lane. We appreciate them as well, and you will too. Anytime you got to do some traveling for business, or you got to travel, honestly, for personal reasons too, to go visit family. I go to H-Town all the time. I've taken the Von Lane to go visit family. I've taken the Von Lane to Dallas and Fort Worth on business. I love it. I'm a big fan of it. If you're still traveling those short routes flying those short routes, whether it be to Houston or to Dallas or to San Antonio, wherever it may be, or if you're deciding to drive yourself, that can be a bit stressful, right? Dealing with road rage, you're dealing with all the traffic. Don't hassle with that, folks. There are much better ways to do it, and Von Lane is the best way. It's first-class travel on the ground. You board in minutes at a private hotel terminal, selling to one of just 22 oversized leather seats. You enjoy complimentary Wi-Fi, snacks, beverages, and hot towel service on every trip. And actually, they have complimentary meals on certain departures. They've actually upgraded their entire fleet with Starlink internet across the entire fleet, making the Wi-Fi even faster and more reliable. They serve Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, Knoxville. They're adding more and more cities to this list every day. Go to vonlane.com, and if it's your first time riding, you can enter the code OTF26 at checkout and receive $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. And if you got a group, no matter what's group, maybe it's a bachelor party, maybe it's a company trip, you can charter your own Von Lane coach and design the trip from pickup to drop off. Fantastic service. That's Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. Thank you very much to our friends at Von Lane for sponsoring On Texas Football. All right, let's get my man Stevie Lee on with us. We appreciate Stevie Lee, my former teammate and lifetime Longhorn. What's up, Stevie? How you doing? How was your weekend?
Weekend was great, man. How you guys?
Doing good, man. Doing good. First of all, let me just say, did you wake up early and watch the men's hockey team win gold? I got to ask you that. All right, I know you're a sports fan. Did you do that? Because I got up and I ain't gonna lie, I got thrilled. I was riveted, I should say.
Okay. I did not watch it. What I did do, I turned the TV on this morning, and I don't know why, but I was sad that closing ceremonies was on, but I didn't even watch the Winter Olympics. I don't know why.
You're sentimental, man.
Sentimental. I was like, oh man, it's over. Dang.
That's what I love about Stevie, man. You're sentimental guy. I wanted to ask you, did you get a chance to hear any of the comments or see any of the comments as from Steve Sarkisian at his first media availability? Like CJ said, first appearance for the media since the Citrus Bowl. A lot has happened here on the 40 acres. Did you see anything that piqued your interest?
Man, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I've been working all day, so I did not see it today yet, but I'm going to go back and watch it. I've got it pulled up here on my screen.
Mm-hmm.
So watch it. I know I probably should have did my homework before I got
No,
on.
no.
But no, I heard you guys talking about it, but I'm really excited to see what he has to say. But I'm really excited for spring ball to start next week. Is it next week or the week after next?
Yeah, I think we're about 16 days away.
Yeah,
So
we got the next. So that's what I'm really excited about. He can say all the great things he wanted to say in that, but I'm gonna go out there and look at it in my own eyes. So I want to see the offensive line gelling together. I mean, it's going to be probably, you know how it is in the beginning, Rod. It's just shells, just helmets and shorts and things like that in the beginning. But, we get down into the middle of spring ball is when we really get to see some talent trying to rise, some foam rising to the top,
Yeah. Sort of clack-a-lacking with them pads a little bit.
No question.
One thing he said, what day he put it up, read Marcus Myers, he ready
Marcus,
to go.
Marcus, text me anytime you're ready to go, man. I'm down there anytime already most of the days. So
shout out to my man Marcus Myers, man. Good to see you. One thing Sark said that was interesting, though. He said he had to start, and you were there, CJ. You let me know. I'm paraphrasing. You let me know if I'm off in my at least my perception of what he was trying to say. He did say he had to start the team building, right? And the kind of culture building early on. Did he admit that was one of the mistakes from last season, CJ?
Yeah, Sark, after every year, basically gives himself a review, right? A 1,000-foot view is what he calls it, just of himself, his staff, the coaching, the program in its entirety. He said, look, we waited until June to start our culture building and have those culture Wednesdays that we hear about so often. He said, why would we wait? The whole team is here, minus 2 early enrollees and an offensive lineman, perhaps. So your whole team is here. Why wait? Why put off the idea that these guys can grow the brotherhood now? And so they've started that earlier. That's a big point of emphasis is, hey, let's get these guys to believe and play for one another now. So I loved hearing that. And Stevie, Rod, I know that y'all have been a part of locker rooms and brotherhoods just like that. The more that you're with these guys, even with the 40 or 50 person turnover in the locker room, it's going to pay off in the summertime, especially when it gets hot, and certainly when it pays off in Saturdays in the fall as well.
I think that it's really important these days to get some team building, bonding going because, man, I mean, what percentage of this roster is retained? You know what I mean? So you really got to get those guys that's coming in from different programs to buy into your program. So I think that's very important, almost just as important as the X's and O's.
Yeah, no, I thought that was one of my favorite actually parts. He admitted that, we waited too late on that. He said, we're going to start that thing off immediately now with the team building exercises, the Culture Wednesdays you're talking about there. Let me ask you this, Stevie, about the spring. You said you're going to get out there. Who has the most? Is it the O-line that has the most work to do this spring, in your opinion? Is it just that simple?
I think O-line, but I think the whole defense trying to learn on the Muschamp. I think we need to yes, the O-line for the short answer, but the defense has some work to do. We got Gideon coming back. I mean, he was only gone for a year, so some guys still remember him from when he was here before, but still got to learn a whole new defense, basically. And I mean, I don't know if y'all think it's going to be a whole new defense or he's going to try to, but I think that's a big that is huge for this offseason. This spring ball is for Muschamp to implement his defense, his designs, his blitzes, and things like that. That's the big part.
What are those conditioning workouts like at this point when you feel like spring football is right around the corner, right? It's close. Does it just get me through the week, man? It just get me to the weekend. We're just chopping wood, basically.
Yeah, man. It's spring workout coming out of the season. It's tough, man. It's when we were there, Rod, man, it was some tough days and it's brutal. But we know we're getting right and everything, but man, you don't look forward to getting into bed early and waking up really early to go out there and work out. The good thing is when we got it in early, I had the rest of my day to do whatever I needed to do. Such as homework or doing anything on campus. But It's a hard workout in the off season, but it gets you right for the season, man. And these videos coming out of a Texas football Instagram account, these guys are out there working. They're working hard.
Yeah. Man, you want to get that workout out the way early. You don't want that pit in your stomach all day about, whoa, what Chef Dog got from me? Oh, what Mad Dog coming? What they cooking up for me? You know what I mean? Like, nope. I need to get that workout done before 10 a.m. Before, you know what I mean? Any of that. So I'm less stressed throughout the day. If I gotta go to class thinking about the Mad Dog workouts, man, I ain't getting nothing done. I'm gonna be just stressed out the whole time. Like, oh, what did he come up with today? You got weight vest, we got the sand pit. Oh man, it could be anything. Oh, no,
anything.
Get it out the way.
And this is a hard time, but I'm now that I'm thinking back on it, the most hard workouts we had was summertime.
Yeah, man.
Spring ball. You know, we break out for finals. What is that? April, May.
Yeah.
Finals, go home, kiss your mom, and hang out for a little bit, and you come back and you're going hard in the summertime, man. And we were next to I-35 where we smelled gas and diesel fumes. I need to file a lawsuit for my lungs being all messed up off of I-35. And but you know, it's hot out there, 105 degrees.
Man, that's it. That's the one.
But man, you know, I wouldn't change it for the world, man. I had fun with those days with my brothers and with Rod, but it was tough out there, and it built toughness. It's why we had 9-10 win seasons every year.
But that was a team building, though. You're right, though. That was a team building. You got close to your teammates then because you was close to God. You was close to a lot of stuff out there that didn't work out for you. And yeah, no doubt. Sorry, CJ, go ahead.
Sark kind of laid out, you know, with the plan for spring ball. Was y'all spring ball interrupted at all by spring break? Like, was y'all do the 3 practices and then spring break, or was it just one continual go? Because I always find that a little strange to have that intermission in the middle of it.
I think we had a full go. I don't remember
a spring break stoppage.
No, I don't think we had a stoppage.
So for folks who are unaware, Sark laid out the plan. Texas first day on the field, March 9th. They'll go through 3 practices, and then that next week is spring break.
Yeah.
And so the team will go home, though. You know, I'm sure many of them will be, you know, vacationing somewhere, right? They got the money to do it these days. Yep. And then they'll return back for the next 12 practices. So I don't know. I've always kind of thought that to be kind of strange, but I know that you're also kind of pinned by the schedule of the school spring semester as well.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a test. Almost.
Yeah, who's staying up to date?
Yeah.
It's like, trust you. That's a big piece of it.
Right. It's a lot of temptation on spring break, temptation just to be lazy, temptation to do a lot of things, of course. But staying focused, right? In that mindset that no, man, I got to be focused on the mission at hand. It's time for ball. And you get that break. I think the coaches like the break because it probably helps with injuries and stuff like that, and fatigue and stuff like that. So you get guys focused, but also you want to see who's going to pass that test of self-discipline.
Yeah.
Right? Who's going to come back and who's going to come back even more? Who's going to have a better second half of that spring ball than the first? You're like, oh, they've been working. Oh, somebody you didn't even go vacation at all. You didn't go to the beach. You didn't go to the party. You didn't go nothing. All you did was work and grind. Good for you.
Right.
That's the only I can think of.
I don't know. Now that I think of it, man, you just brought this up, CJ, that these kids got money now.
Great.
I went down to South Padre, Philip and I, and we shared a room, and then all the other teammates came in and crashed our room. I wish if I had the money to do. I'll talk about it, man. Next subject.
Man, hey, come on now. These guys going like Miami Beach.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I don't know if Mexico might not be on the table, right? So
not right now.
Not right now, but I'm sure there are plenty of alternative options as well. So
that's a good point. I think we was broke, so I'm just going back to Houston, but I can still act the fool in H-Town. I know that. So even broke, I can go act the fool in H-Town because that's my town. So I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of a test for those guys. All right, Stevie, we won't keep you too much longer, man. I actually talked to a lot of the guys this weekend yesterday because DJ had a really cool fundraiser, Defend the Dream, And a lot of guys told me to tell you what's up, man, because they look at the channel and they see it's like, and they see the work you're doing. So everybody was like, "Hey, man, tell Stevie I say what's up. We know you talk to him." So everybody,
appreciate it.
I got fans out there.
I appreciate it, man. I missed that event last night, but I actually just texted Derek. It looked like a whole lot of fun. He raised a lot of money, man.
Yeah, like 650,000, I thought. Some
600. Yeah, and just being an advocate for kids and learning how to read and refitting these elementary school libraries. He's doing great work, man. So he's good. I played golf with him for my birthday last week. He's actually a pretty good golfer now, man. He's doing pretty well.
I don't know where he gets the time. Like, dude, you got the foundation you're doing. He does the podcast with me. He's got like how many kids? 5, 6? How many kids he got?
I think he has 6.
He's got 5 boys and like he just
one
got
girl. One little girl.
Yeah, guy was like, "I'm gonna give you a last little test for you." But yeah, so I don't know where he gets the time to be good at golf, but he is. I've heard he's good. You know who told me he was good at golf? Chris Klein was there, the actor. And he was like, "Oh man, me and DJ go golfing, and he's damn good." I'm like,
yeah, he's pretty good.
He's gotta be one of those guys that just doesn't sleep, just functions off of like 5 or 6 hours. And
you know, he is though. He's one of those guys that's annoying because he's good at damn near everything. He's just good.
When DJ gets locked in, he's locked in. So
he's locked in. It's one of them.
He's very disciplined.
No doubt. I appreciate you, Stevie, man, and have a great rest of the week. And tell the lovely wife I said what's up.
All right, appreciate it, man. Shout out to Hargrove.
There ain't no doubt. Yep, I'm glad he did it, so we can do it too. Shout out to our friends over at Hargrove Roofing. That's our friend Stevie Lee. He has great partnerships with them. We have great partnerships with our friends at Hargrove Roofing as well. Got offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. They're the most pro-burnt orange roofing company out there, but they do great work, and they're great human beings as well. We've actually got a chance to work with them and get really close with them, and you can trust them with your roof. Stevie won't be on your roof, but he can vouch for the fine folks over at Hargrove Roofing. They're offering a free roof inspection today, 512-645-3202. Know who's on your roof with our friends at Hargrove Roofing. That boy good. Yeah, no, DJ is, like I said, I don't know where he gets time to be good at golf because every time I see him, he's doing something. He's got some other event. So I think it takes you like 4 hours a day to be good at golf. I don't know where the man gets it. Yeah.
I couldn't. I ended up playing golf about a week ago. First time in about 8 months, Rod. You get to like the 15th or 16th hole, you're like, how do people just do this so often? It takes 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't know. Trust me, I tried too, and I was like, first of all, I'm terrible.
Yeah.
Second, I was like, I don't have the time for this, man. I don't have.
Well, that's the other thing. It's like I'm lucky to get to hole 15. By then, I'm on like a 3rd or 4th pack of balls. You know, I'm getting mad. It's probably pretty hot.
Oh yeah, and these really nice houses are in danger around this golf course. I don't know why they put nice houses around golf courses. It's probably because you're not supposed to be shankopotamus like Rod B is out there. All right, thanks to my man Stevie. All right, we'll get to the questions, but let's do some of this Sark video first. I want to dive into this stuff because a lot of things that he brought up, but I think the offensive lines, what a lot of folks out there wanted to hear Sark's thoughts on. I want to say did you ask him the first question about the O-line?
I got the last question of the day.
Oh, okay.
I was the caboose.
Is that your plan, CJ, to get the last question? Is that what
I just want to get the question answered?
All right. Well, CJ did ask about the O-line, and it's a couple. Actually, Sark goes, I think, in some depth here about the O-line, but also one of the members of the O-line, Lawrence Seymour, who has become a big topic of conversation because he is trying to get an extra year of eligibility. He has filed for that waiver with the NCAA, of course, but that has not yet been determined. But Sark did give an update on the Lawrence Seymour situation. So here's Sark talking about the O-line.
Very good about the additions of Melvin. I feel that the really good additions about Dylan, about Jonte, about Lawrence. I feel good about the young players that have come into our program already. I feel really good about the guys coming off of injury. I feel really good about Andre Kojo coming back. And so I feel very comfortable with that group. We were very aggressive in what we were trying to accomplish, but looking at the totality of the roster and not being so narrow-minded and it was O-line or bust, because we had other needs that we had to take care of too on our roster that I thought we did a nice job with. He had a waiver submitted when we signed him. The NCAA has allowed us to resubmit that waiver, I think, with some new information in a way that makes his case really compelling. Nothing has been decided yet. So I'm hesitant to say I'm confident in much, but I do think that with us having the opportunity to submit that waiver with our people, with some of the information Lawrence was able to supply us and some of those of the previous universities that he was at, we'll see where it goes, but we haven't gotten anything back yet.
Okay. I want to start kind of at the back there, CJ, with the Lawrence Seymour update. So what are your thoughts about exactly? So it just seemed like Texas is updating the waiver. Is that what's happening here, basically?
That's, to my knowledge, what is happening here for Texas. Now, there was a waiver submitted before Seymour entered the portal when he was still at Western Kentucky. Now, that is from his side and Western Kentucky's side. They're the ones pushing for that. When he entered the portal, from my understanding, Western Kentucky said, well, if you're leaving us, why are we still fighting for you, right? These lawyers, these attorneys, they're expensive. We're out. And so as a result, he ends up at Texas. Texas said, we'll pick up the tab, right? We understand that you're a talented football player, but let's resubmit with new information that Sark says gave Texas a very compelling argument for his approval for the waiver. What is that information? I don't know, but I do think that, hey, it's a positive that Sark sensed maybe a little bit of optimism. He didn't want to speak confidently on it, right? He mentioned that as well, but altogether, I don't think Texas goes down the path of bringing him in, signing him, adding him to the roster if they don't believe that there's a good chance at the very least that he could be approved for this.
Yeah. No, that's all right. So I don't, and there was no timeline given on that either, by the way. So I didn't hear any timeline. So I don't know when that's going to happen. I assume at some point this spring, we'll get an update on it. All right, let's talk about the O-line. Talked about how confident he was. I like the fact that Andre Kojo's name was dropped specifically. I thought that was interesting. And I thought that, for, Longhorn fans out there who may have kind of looked past Andre Kojo, wouldn't it be great if Andre Kojo ended up having a really good spring here too? But he sounded confident in the guys they brought in, the new acquisitions, that they will be able to have a much more competent offensive line this season.
Yeah. I totally agree. Kojo would be a fantastic. I mean, look, I understand. Look, he's 330 pounds, tearing your ACL and other ligaments in that knee. That is hard to do. That is hard to come back. That is a long road, more so than maybe anybody else on the football field. But we've heard, the progression of his return, his rehabilitation. He was running towards the back end of January. Now he's back on the football or in the weight room lifting with the team, lifting heavily, might I add. So that steps in the right direction. How much will we see in the spring, Rod? I'm not sure at the moment. But if he's even in the conversation for a 2-deep spot in fall camp, that's fantastic for Texas.
Yep, that's found money. Because I think a lot of people had assumed Kojo was kind of out of the equation, but I'm glad Sark dropped his name. We know about the new acquisitions. We know all of those guys are going to be in the conversation in that O-line rotation. But to hear Kojo's name specifically drop there, I might just perked up a little bit, and I think that's good news for him and good news for Texas.
You mention it almost every year, Rod, right? Every press conference, every time we hear from Sark, he'll drop a little nugget in there.
He does.
And you hear it, and you don't think about it at that time because it's so, subtly mixed in. But something like a Kojo mention at the very least, it's worth filing away.
And I feel like sometimes, and I don't know this for sure, I should ask a coach, actually, coaches who are higher up and see. I feel like they're almost messages to the players sometimes. I feel like literally he's talking to the player. Like literally like, hey, man, I'm name dropping you, bro. All right. I just say you don't think that I'm paying attention, just so you know I am paying attention. All right. I just throw you in there. I threw you in the mix. I always feel like this because I know the players keep up with this stuff. I mean, they keep up. They keep up with CJ's tweets. You've been called out by Sark because of your tweets. All right. He said, but the locker room is keeping up with CJ's tweets. So when CJ tweet out, then the players look at him like, Kojo got mentioned. They see it. So we know that. We can make that connection. I almost feel like sometimes he's talking directly to them, like, hey, man, don't think that I'm overlooking you. Like, I see the hard work. I see what you're doing. I'm ready for you to step up and contribute. Just my theory. Because sometimes it's so random. It's like, why did he mention that guy? That guy, not all the people to mention. All right. So O-line, Sark is confident. I always say this: they will be a much better pass blocking O-line. Like I know that just looking at the raw pieces they're bringing in. How soon do they get continuity in jail? That's a different conversation. The running games, and I would say this about Sark because he talked about this in the O-line too. Even it was kind of separate because you say he had a long press conference, so he addressed many things. But he also said that the pieces around the O-line have improved so much, it's gonna help the offensive line's overall competence or level of play. Like it will improve just because everything around them has improved. Arch is gonna be better. Cam Coleman is now your wide receiver 1. Hell, your wide receiver 1 now is your wide receiver 2 in Ryan Wingo. Your wide receiver 3 is now Emmett Mosley, who a lot of people think should be wide receiver 2 or on this team. Your running backs are more explosive in Hollywood Smothers and Malik Brown. I think all of that will improve the offensive line play because you'll stay out of those very compromising positions, 3rd and long, 2nd and long situations. I think you'll end up with bigger, easier passes for Arch to complete because you'll end up with bigger passing windows, more separation with wide receivers who are better at creating that separation downfield, more explosive plays, period, from the backfield. All of that will help the O-line play better, or at least the illusion of the O-line being better. Maybe they won't even be that much better, but it'll seem like they're better because the offense will be so much more explosive.
I completely agree, Rod. There was a moment in that press conference from Sark where he was talking about the run game in particular, and he said, and I want to talk about this a little bit more in depth, maybe in a minute, right? Malik Brown, Hollywood Smothers, Sark. We'll talk about that. But he said, look, these guys play to our style of running game, and the first thing you see whenever you don't have a great run game, or the first solution that comes everybody's mind is just go get better offensive linemen. He goes, well, sometimes we do block it correctly. The guys up front, they block it correctly, and the running backs maybe miss a hole, or they're too late, or they're too early to hitting the hole, or the guys that when you fall forward for 3 or 4 yards, that's great. But then there are also the guys like the Bijan Robinsons of the world that can turn a 3 to 4 yard gain into a 7 or 8 yard gain, or even then they break it off into a 20 or 30 yard gain. He goes, look, with those two guys, I feel like we have that. But and this is another calculated response. You don't mention that in the conversation about the offensive line if you don't think, okay, there's maybe a little bit too much heat on the offensive line, or in the sense that we know we're going to be better up front. Now we have guys that have that true home run hitting ability as well. So that's something that I kind of filed away in my mental notes, just saying, we'll come back to that.
No, I love that. And in fact, that's a great segue to talking about the running backs, because one of the more interesting nuggets Sark dropped was about Malik Brown and Hollywood Smothers. And like I said, I'm really excited about this duo, but I think he hints at something that at least one of the opinions I've had about this new combination in the backfield. And I'll let Sark get to it, and then we'll dive into Sark's analysis of this new running back duo, Hollywood Smothers and Malik Brown. Here's Steve Sarkisian.
Felt like we had an opportunity to get back to the style of players that fit what we were trying to do. Like I said, at a cost point, everything, there's value on everything. And I think adding Hollywood and adding Malik, two really versatile players that are explosive players that can run the style of runs that we like to run, that are very versatile of catching the ball out of the backfield, that have home run hitting ability. We have to get back to being the explosive offense that we're accustomed to being, that those two guys fit. And oddly enough, since they've come in, they're probably two of the closest transfers. They've almost become best friends on our team already. Like they understand they need each other. And I think they understand historically for us in our program, we've always, done well when we've had two that could play off of one another. But to get two experienced players that have done it at a high level in the Power 4 level, all conference type players, I think is going to benefit us, and I think it's going to benefit them in the long run as well.
Okay. The first thing I got excited about there, CJ, is when he said our style of running, getting back to our style. I think he means going back to basically them being a really good outside zone team and being able to counter or at least to change up with inside zone.
Yep.
I think that's what he is basically. I don't know why he didn't just say what the run calls are, because maybe that's revealing too much information. In 2020, I've said it before, this offense is going to look a lot like that 2024 offense. Like that's when, by the way, they led the country in explosive plays. It was the most explosive offense in the country, generating 20+ yard plays on offense. Nobody was better. And I've said that duo in the backfield is kind of going to remind me of Jaden Blue and Trey Wisner. They were both top 10 in the country in running back targets that year. Smothers and Brown were top 20 this year, I believe, in running back targets, top 25 in running back targets this season. He brought that up. The style of running, I think he means they'll both be good running the outside zone. That's our staple. That's our bread and butter. They can run that, and then we can figure out if Hollywood Smothers will be better running the inside zone and what is the change up for Raleek Brown. But both of them can run the outside zone. I think that's basically what he means. And they're explosive, so our margin for error now increases. We used to have this year we have to have perfect blocks, everything perfectly blocked, and everybody to hold their blocks for a certain amount of time just for us to get that positive yardage. Now, actually, you might miss that block because this dude is so damn good. He'll still create explosive play. I'll give you my stat about Raleek Brown and Hollywood Smothers. I went to look at Jeremiah Love because he's one of the best backs coming out in the draft, of course, the best back, some people say, of course. 64 missed tackles forced this year, running and receiving. Raleek Brown 67, Hollywood Smothers 65.
Oof. I mean,
that's what you got. It ain't got to be perfect. They'll make you right even when you were wrong. Those kind of guys.
And what you get with the two of them is the absolute versatility of the playbook, right? They're very similar style backs as what we were just talking about, Rod. And as a result, you're not tipping your hand when you have one guy on the field versus the other. And I think over the last 2 years, at times, Texas got in trouble doing exactly that, right? There were too often where, all right, well, Jaden Blue's on the field. He's probably not going to stay in the protection. If he does, well, it's a pass. If not, it's going to be an outside run, right? Trey Wisner, very similar. So Texas was handcuffed to an extent. CJ Baxter, we knew he was going to be a guy that if he was on the field, it's going up the middle. Yep. So that was encouraging to hear from Sark to get back to their style, quote unquote. Also, he did mention Michael Terry's name, and he also mentioned Derek Cooper's name.
Okay.
So there's, again, some of that calculated coach speak, if you will, about what to look forward to in the spring, because, again, we've heard positives about both. Now, what does it look like on the field against live action? Boy, buckle up, because that front seven against the revamped offensive line, I know they're still dealing with a couple injuries there, but I want to hear about the run game. I want to hear what that looks like. Are these guys breaking big runs, or is it a suffocating front seven with Muschamp? And what I hope, Rod, maybe you could speak to this. When coaches get heated, and I mean in the competitive spirit of spring football, there's obviously John back and forth from Colin Simmons and Jade Barron and Andrew Makuba back in the day with Quinn and Arch whenever he took over, and that's great. When it's the coaches that are saying, hey, you're not stopping me, that is how you really start to generate and build some buzz around the program. I hope we hear about that.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you want to up that intensity with everybody. Not just on the field, everybody's level of intensity, it should be higher. And I think that's why part of the reason Sark brought Muschamp in, to get a little bit more, get everybody a little edgier. Yep. Everybody like a little bit more. Yeah, everybody. I think even Sark's like, I want a little bit of an edge, because you know what? I think Muschamp may call me out a couple of times. And you know what? It's all good. I might need it. I might need somebody to have to call me out. You know what I mean? Maybe I ain't got enough guys. And that's fine, because, it's a certain level of respect. But maybe Muschamp can say, hey, man, I did that game plan. I don't like that game plan. That's not a good deal. I wouldn't run that versus Kirby Smart right now. And I think that's, like I said, you can't. You gotta, whatever is not your strength, you need to surround yourself with people whose strength is whatever your weakness is. And like you said, for Sark, maybe I'm not going to be the guy that's out there, with that kind of intensity and that kind of energy. So I'll bring somebody who got that kind of energy. Muschamp got plenty of it. About the Michael Terry thing, him dropping the name. I like that because I still think he's got a path on his path to the field is going to be tough as third running back. I mean, because he's got to him and Derek Cooper, James. Did James Simon get a mention? You know what I'm saying? Like that's basically who's going to be competing for that third running back spot, right?
Right.
And I don't even know how often, unless you're a boutique player, a Keelan Robinson, Ryan Nibley got some of that. Sabian Red got some of that. And that's what Michael Terry can be. Unless you're one of those guys, the third running back, I mean, you don't get a lot of run. That pony package is going to be great with Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown. It's going to be magnifico. It's going to be fantastic. Oh, I'm telling you, it's going to be really good. Like it's going to be as good. It might be better than.
Oh,
I want to say it's hard. I'm hard for me to say it's going to be better than the Jaden Blue, Trey Wiesner one. I think it could be, but Jaden Blue was so good at vertical routes down the field. Yeah, he was so good at that little Texas route. He was so good in the wheel routes. He had his hands actually were really good, even though I know we mock his hands. But on some of those vertical concepts as a running back, he was legit. I mean, at Georgia couldn't handle it. Oh, Ohio State. I mean, these guys got elite defensive personnel. They couldn't. Jaden Blue was a problem for them dudes on those vertical routes.
Oh yeah, the Texas A&M catching that. Oh, in the corner.
Yeah, in the back of the end zone. So I'm saying, like, I don't know if you got that, but I do think you got running backs who will be a problem in the passing game. But that pony package is coming back. Last year, it was really weak, man. That was the weakest pony package Sarkis had since he's been here, and that's a shame. Kyle says, I've been waiting to see the fake handoff, another reverse play they ran against Florida in 2024. That was Sark playing his symphony. I'll tell you this, Sark needs a muse, though. Like, he needs artistic inspiration. He needs something to get the creative juices flowing. And that offense last year, it just wasn't enough. You know what I mean? That wasn't enough juice to get the creative juices flowing for him. You know what I mean? There wasn't enough juice on the offense. It was just Ryan Wingo and Arch that was it. That's why I kept going back to the Ryan Wingo Arch combination. And now you got Ryan Wingo, you got Cam Coleman, which we'll get to in a second. You got Raleek Brown, you got Hollywood Smothers. And now Emmett Mosley is the guy defenses have to forget about. Nick Towns is the guy, like, I ain't got enough resources to be able to allocate guys to stop, Nick Townsend and Emmett Mosley. Sorry, let's like Gunnar Helm in 2024. Get yours, Gunnar Helm, because I can't worry. I ain't got enough dogs on this defense to devote defenders to stop you.
Right.
All right. And that's what this offense is going to present to defenses. Some of these guys they're going to be getting favorable matchups just because defenses don't have enough high caliber players to match up with.
It was funny. I was thinking to myself, and I've had this thought since the portal began, right? I don't know if I've ever really articulated it because I don't know if I knew how, right? But I've kind of pieced it together. When Sark mentioned today, talking about the offensive line, he's like, we couldn't just go get anybody, right? We had to make sure that it fit, one, our dollar amount, and two, what we do schematically.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of thought back and I was like, well, at the skill position, you did just go get anybody. Like, you went and got 2 first-team all-conference running backs. Think about that.
That's crazy.
2 first-team all-conference running backs, and then went out and added the best receiver in the portal. In a way, it's like, you get the building blocks as a kid, and you got to put the triangle square or the triangle block and the triangle hole and the square. Sark just said, to hell with that. We're fitting everything in that one circular hole, right? We're putting everything. We're just going to force it in there, and we're going to make sure that whenever we do it, we look around and we say, yeah, there's no one that can stop me, not even the boundaries of this little toy or contraption that we're working with, because we're just going to be bigger, faster, stronger than everybody else that we play. And I kind of look at this and just say, well, they kind of did that. They kind of just spammed grabbing the best skilled talent they could and saying, we'll piece it together elsewhere.
Yep.
And again, you look at what Texas will deploy in that starting 11, even in the back end, right? Texas has one of the more prolific wide receivers in Texas high school football history, and we've not yet mentioned his name as someone that will see guaranteed role in the rotation.
Yeah,
they have a 5-star from Florida saying, "Hey, I could have gone to Miami, Florida, or Florida State," and he said, "I like Texas," and we're sitting there saying, okay, but what is his role going to be compared to that of the 5-star freshman the year before? I know I'm getting over my skis a little bit.
Yeah, you're right, though. Yeah.
But that's what they're working with right now. Oh, and it's Arch Manning. So it should be fun, right? Should be fun.
If it's not one, it's got to be, in my opinion, you got to be talking about the highest. Is it going to be the highest scoring Sark offense or the most explosive Sark offense? If this offense isn't in one of those discussions by the end of the season, then something went wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So, I don't know what went wrong. Right now, I think most people, if they can predict what could go wrong, like it had to be the O-line. What went wrong with the O-line? Y'all missed it. Y'all thought Lawrence Seymour didn't get the waiver approved, and then y'all miscalculated somehow. But I think Sark is so confident that he's saying, my weapons are so good. If the O-line just is average.
Yep, that's
it. You were just poor. You were just a bad O-line. Like he was one of the 10 most pressured quarterbacks in college football. You were one of the most penalized offensive lines, top 10 most penalized offensive lines in the country. Your offensive line was it was a liability. So I think he's thinking, listen, offensive line is not going to be as bad as it was last year. If I can just get them to average to below average, these weapons I got, they'll solve a lot of my problems.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think that's what he's thinking. Is that going to translate? Who knows? I actually am betting on it to work. I think you've made enough improvements on the O-line. They didn't do as much as I would have wanted on the O-line, but if Lawrence Seymour gets that waiver approved, I think they're more than solid.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, they get that, they're good. But they got to work on the chemistry and all that kind of stuff. All right, let's get to we got a super chat, and then we'll get to this audio about Cam Coleman. Joshy Manning says, appreciate the coverage as usual. Thank you. Hey, thank you, Joshy. Appreciate you, brother. Hope all is doing well. Glad that you're joining us too. No doubt about that. I see the questions. We'll get to some of those. Let's get to this audio about Cam Coleman first, though, because he's the star of this transfer portal class for Texas. He was the top receiver in the transfer portal. But Sark says, and obviously we went over the stats, and we'll go over them here again about what he brings to the table after this video. But he went a little bit deeper. Comes because it's kind of what Sark started, I think, elaborating on. And that's something that really hasn't been talked about Cam Coleman much. But here's Sark discussing the acquisition of Cam Coleman and how he has met expectations, or at least kind of exceeded expectations already, with kind of the professionalism that he showed already. Here is Sark talking about Cam Coleman.
Has been a fabulous addition so far. And what I knew of Cam Coleman early on was watching Auburn film when I was getting ready to play Oklahoma, or when they're on the tape, I'm like, this guy's really good. This number 8's really good. When he went into the portal, it was like, okay, this is probably going to be a priority for a lot of teams around the country. What type of individual is this guy? And you start making your calls, and you're calling people that have coached him and coached against him. And we never played Auburn, so I didn't get a chance to see him in person. And then you start getting on a phone call, and then you get onto a FaceTime and a Zoom, and then you get them on your campus. And the biggest thing that came out of it for me was what an awesome individual. This kid is an awesome kid. And he hasn't disappointed since he's arrived. And I think one thing that has been unique when he's arrived, you got to remember Ryan Wingo and Emmett Mosley are both coming off of injuries right now. And so they're not able to do the things that Cam's being required to do, from a fundamental standpoint, from a workouts with Coach Becton, from a skill development standpoint. And for a guy of his caliber, he could say, well, those two guys aren't working today. Maybe I'll take a step back, and maybe I don't need to work today. It's been the total opposite. This guy's going for it. And he came here with real intentions and a real reason of understanding he wants to compete for a national championship, and he wants to put himself in the best position to get ready for the NFL. And he came to a pro-style offense for a reason. We've obviously had a pretty good recent history of receivers getting drafted now into the NFL fairly highly. And so he understands why he came. He's an awesome individual, and I look forward to y'all getting to spend some time with him, because I think you're going to be very impressed.
All right. I thought Sark was going to go over impact on the offense. And he went over a little bit of that and talked about the gravity he's going to have, and he'll force teams to have to double team him. That'll open up things in the offense. He got into a little bit of that, but he did, like I said, elaborate on the football character of the young man, which I think is great. And he's talked about how he's getting a lot of extra reps because Ryan Wingo and Emmett Mosley are coming off injury. So he's getting a lot more reps too. which I think is fantastic. So him and Arch can get that chemistry. They can start to get that continuity and that timing, that rhythm down. So I'm glad that Sark talked about, well, how much of now he's a great prospect, obviously physically, but the football character of the young man is what has been most impressive so far. It's a good sign because he's got to be a leader.
Right.
I mean, he's almost forced to be a leader on the team just because of his status on the team too.
I agree. I don't know. You hear press conferences and quotes from coaches all over the country, and I believe Sark in this instance. Let me get ahead of this, but I always kind of chuckle in my head when a guy like a Cam Coleman enters the portal, and or Jordan Seaton, or a guy of the absolute top, and you always hear, well, it's the character that we're after, or we want to pursue the guy that fits, and it's like, well, he's also the best in the country at what he does. We're going to take him anyways, or what? Like, I always kind of laugh at that, but I do believe that about Cam Coleman, and I know that because I've made the trip out to Alabama before, and I've talked to guys that are in the world of scouting, and they've talked about him, heard from him, spoke with him, or people around him. They believe the same thing. So, I always laugh at that, but at the same time, say, hey, man, does the kid catch touchdowns or not? But I am excited to hear from Cam Coleman, in these live settings, because, again, he is a top 3, top 5 wide receiver in all of the country, and he picked Texas over just about every other school in the country. So why was that the case? Why Texas? Why Arch Manning? Why Steve Sarkisian? That's going to be interesting for me, and I'm sure everybody else will want to hear exactly why they missed out on his talent as well.
It's like I said, I think Longhorn fans, I said at the time, as long as Texas gets Cam Coleman, all the complaints will go away, and they did. Longhorn fans were very upset, and then they got Cam Coleman all the way. Hey, what's up, Coach? How's it going?
Oh, just a dumb butt here trying to figure out how to. Finally had to go to my phone.
Coach, hey, no doubt. We're glad to have you, Coach. We appreciate it. We just got done with some Sark talking about Cam Coleman and his impact. He basically talked about Cam Coleman being of high football character, basically.
Oh yeah,
something they've been impressed with, which is really, really good. How you doing, Coach?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing real good. I think you're right. I think with the firepower that we have, it appears to be offensively. If the line can come together, it's going to be an awful fun season.
All right, let me get to. I want to get to some of the questions. So I know we got a bunch of questions, and we got a super chat that we get. Aloha Traveler with a super chat.
That was a big one, Rod. As Rob puts it on, I'll give it a go.
There we go.
Aloha Traveler. Rod's got the helmet on. Aloha, guys. The offensive line was at times dreadful last year. However, because of that, Arch Manning was forced to perhaps develop at a faster pace. Given that, could these struggles last year have been a blessing in disguise and a precursor to a great 2026 season? Rod, you got the helmet on.
That's good. I like that theory. And you know what? Jerry has a theory about this too. Jerry basically says at the high school level and the college level, he almost looks for, when he evaluates quarterbacks, how often they're under duress, basically. Like he likes them to be under duress a lot, because then it shows you their decision making, right? Is he going to make smart decisions with the football? Is he great at getting out of trouble? What's his second reaction ability? What's his off script ability? And I think you're right about that with Arch. There's no doubt he was really good at dealing with pressure toward the end of the year. I'll give you a couple of stats here, just really quickly. He faced the 6th most pressures in the country. That's a lot of pressure. But the second fewest sacks of the 10 most pressured quarterbacks in college football I looked at, he had the second fewest sacks. And I looked at quarterbacks with at least 20 snaps. You want to know the sample size. If you look at the pressure to sack rate, he had the lowest pressure to sack rate of the 10 most pressured quarterbacks. Actually, he was, if you look at the interceptions, guy was top 5 Texas was top 5 in turnover margin, only 7 interceptions. It was a lot of pressure he was under, but only 7 interceptions. And I actually found a stat that's a little troubling too. He led the country in hits, in accurate passes accurate passes that were dropped under pressure. There were 11 of them, I believe. No, sorry, there were 9 of them that were dropped under pressure. He also led the country in hits as he was thrown, as he was throwing the football. So he got hit while throwing the football. He had 11 hits while he was throwing the football. That led the country, by the way. Considering all of that, I thought down the stretch, and by the way, I'm not the only one. Week 9, he had the 6th highest Pro Football Focus grade from week 9 on of all the quarterbacks in the country. I mean, he played some of his best football down the stretch. The O-line improved a little bit, but I think ultimately you're right, Aloha Traveler. I think he began to process things quicker. I think his pocket presence really improved. I've talked ad nauseum about his scrambling ability, right? Pro Football Focus has him averaging over 10 yards per rush on scrambles. I got him over 9 yards per rush on scrambles versus power forward teams, averaging over 11 yards per pass when he's scrambling. He's going to be better at that now with the best deep contested target in all of college football, which is Cam Coleman. I mean, he has 9. I think he had more receptions on deep contested targets than anybody in college football. Nobody had more than Cam Coleman. He knows a lot of those are going to be really good 50-50 situations in scramble drill that he's going to throw up, and Cam Coleman's going to turn a 50-50 into an 80-20. So he's, like I said, I agree with you. I think we watched it like real time, him start to adapt and evolve and transform and transmogrify into one of the best quarterbacks in the country under pressure, which is what NFL scouts look at, because that's the life of an NFL quarterback. You live under duress most of the time.
Transmogrify.
Oh yeah, that was
Bravo, Rod B.
We don't use that. We don't use that word in Burnett County.
Y'all gotta blame Craig Way for that.
You might get thrown out of county using that.
Yeah. But I'm with you, and I like that theory. I looked it up as well, Matthew. It's a beautiful word, and you fit it perfectly in there, Rod.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. I did use it right.
But back to the super chat, and to your theory, Rod, I think there's absolutely value in a quarterback that plays with pressure often in high school. You know, this is the way that they've known football. Now, of course, you got to sit in the pocket, learn when the timing is there. You know, routes and development of when pressure is coming. But, you know, I always go back to, and it's not a perfect example, but Quinn Ewers at Southlake, right? You watch the tape, the arm is perfect, but how often was he truly under pressure as a quarterback when he's got tackles going to Texas and Tennessee and Oklahoma? It's like, well, you got yourself a pretty cushioned pocket, right? That's nice. What's it like when you don't have the best offensive line? Are you completely under duress? You know, is your head spinning? Are you able to have that internal clock regardless? That's something I always think there's certain legitimacy to when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks at any level.
Yeah.
It's definitely something they have to adjust to. I know when Jordan was playing for me at Burnett High School, we had a quarterback who started at A&M named Stephen McGee. Oh, yeah. And I remember Dennis Francione coming in and sitting down and visiting with me and Stephen in his office. And Stephen, we had 3 FBS linemen on that team, and he could sit back there all day. And he was also so athletic he could run around and nobody could catch him. But he said, you know, Stephen, you're going to have to learn how to throw under duress, because we don't have linemen like that at A&M. And of course he was kidding, but he was saying, you know, I'm not real sure how you're going to do under duress, because you don't ever get pressured, you know. Very rarely does he get pressured. And if he did get pressured, he would always have a hot route, and that guy's liable to score. We had 2 guys that could score about any time they got in the open. But I think there's a lot to that. Something I really hadn't thought a lot about, but I really do think now that we bring that up, I do think it's something that that makes an awful lot of sense. And we won't know until we get, you know, into 2 or 3 games next season. But I really agree. I think that's something that he's really going to be able to draw from this past season experience of not very rarely having a clean pocket to throw in.
So I know the offensive line did improve, you know, especially after they made some adjustments on the O-line. But if you look at the numbers, it didn't improve that much. Arch
Right.
is the one that improved. And look at the numbers; he improved a lot. So I expect that to translate. And we all saw it early on in the season. He was shook under pressure. Like, it was. By the way, it was a lot of pressure. I just gave you numbers. He was among the most pressured quarterbacks in the country. And Sark started to also understand the assignment of, if we don't have the O-line to hold up, I can't hit the vertical shots I want.
Go back to 2024 too, Rod. Because when he had NFL offensive linemen in front of him, that's why the expectations were what they were. When he was hawking it downfield in a clean pocket, that's kind of what my mind went to was, hey, the guy with the clean pocket was pretty damn good, right?
That's a great CJ. Damn it. I never thought about that. That's why we got the expectations of, Chicks dig the long ball, and so does Arch, because he had one of the best pass protection O-lines in the country.
Yeah.
In that little small sample size. I didn't think about that, but you're right. That distorted our perception of him in the long ball. And Sark's, by the way, it distorted Sark's. Because Sark was just chunking it early on the season. Like, nah, they don't have, you ain't got Kelvin Banks. You ain't got, no.
Well, that's also probably why, and again, we don't know the conversations inside the facility, but when we talk about the revamped offensive line and almost kind of throw out the G word of a guarantee that it's going to be improved in pass protection, that's why, right? You go out and you add Melvin Siani, a great tackle option, bump in Brandon Baker, a guy who towards the back end of the year was great in pass protection as well. We'll piece together the run game. We got two backs that can make guys miss or make the offensive line right, but we got to have the pocket, right? We can't have guys coming, right up the middle every single snap, basically, unabated to the quarterback. So that's where my mind goes with that.
I agree. Yep. That's why I think pass pro and Sark's fine with, as long as my pass protection is above average, I can manufacture a run game at that point. But you didn't have that last season. All right. Before we get to some, by the way, is Sandman's birthday for real?
I was gonna say something.
Is it really Sandman's birthday? If it is, happy birthday, Sandman. Unless y'all got some inside jokes on the chat sometime, and I don't know what's what. So I apologize if I missed it. But if it is your birthday, happy birthday. And I saw my man CB mention that Tony Jeffrey was celebrating his birthday today. Happy birthday to my former teammate Tony Jeffrey. I did hear Tony Jeffrey's doing good. Matter of fact, you can go check out his GoFundMe, and it has like an update there. I think like videos with him rehabbing, after the stroke, and he's actually looking pretty good. So happy birthday to my man Tony Jeffrey as well. 30 second. Okay. I'm not even gonna read. Oh yeah, exactly. But no, happy birthday, Sandman. Happy birthday to my man Tony Jeffries too, man. He was a big Tony Jeffrey fan, and I hear he's fighting like hell and battling his way back. So pray for my man Tony Jeffrey too. All right, let's thank our lead sponsor one more time. We'll come back and answer a few questions before we close things out. Let's thank our friends over at Von Lane. We appreciate Von Lane, and you will as well. They do great things, man. And I've taken the Von Lane myself. I've told you guys this. I've taken it to go visit family. I've taken it for business trips. We actually partnered with Von Lane when we did our Texas tour with Third and Longhorn. It was great. Went to Dallas and went to Houston. If you are still taking those long trips and driving yourself, that's probably a mistake. Dealing with road rage and dealing with traffic, and then you arrive there and you're jet lagged and tired. Or if you're flying those short routes, that can be a bit of a hassle as well, because you got TSA, you got flight delays. Why worry about that? Let my friends over at Von Lane, they let them stress about it for you, right? It's a first-class travel experience on the ground. You board in minutes at a private hotel terminal, settle into one of just 22 oversized leather seats. You enjoy complimentary Wi-Fi, snacks, beverages, and hot towel service on every trip. They also have complimentary meals on select departures, and also they've upgraded their entire fleet with Starlink internet. So now the Wi-Fi is even faster, even more reliable. It was pretty damn fast when I was taking it too, because I do a lot of work when I'm riding on the Von Lane, do a lot of my rabbit holing and research on the Von Lane trips. Von Lane serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, Knoxville. They keep adding more and more cities to the list. Check out vonlane.com, and if it's your first time riding, use the code OTF26 at checkout to receive $20 off your first trip with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. Thank you very much to our friends at Von Lane. All right, let's hit a couple of questions before we get out of here. Salt City Bull says, when does Muschamp speak? I don't know if they did. Oh, he's the head coach of the defense. Does that change CJ, his long standing, well, at least here in Texas, his tradition that the coordinators only speak like twice a year. Is it twice a year? It's like the bowl.
It'd be awesome to hear from Muschamp. I think it's just the one. I think it's right before fall camp starts.
Okay, one time. Okay, all right. So I thought maybe at the bowl game, maybe they get him at the bowl game or something like that. So I don't know. Maybe Muschamp's the head coach of the defense coach. So doesn't that mean he should be to talk to the media every week?
Part of his deal may be part of his contract may be that he only has to deal with the media once a week.
You're right. Coach knows Muschamp will definitely. Yeah, that's how Muschamp prefers it. That's why he likes Sark's staff. He's like, no, I like that you don't want your coordinator speaking. That's good. All right. Bert Ian said CJ is Ohio State game on Fox noon kickoff.
I believe it's ABC. No,
I think you're right. I think they changed it up. It was on Fox last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's shifting over to ABC So thank you for that, Bert Ian. We appreciate it. Also wants to know, did the format of the spring game come up?
No discussion about the spring game itself. So we'll wait further information from Sark regarding how expensive they'll get. Nothing on that today.
All right. Thank you for that. CB wants to know, hey, CJ, what chances does Sean Miller have to land Diabell's brother?
Good question. I believe he will be at Texas on Wednesday. He will be at Houston in Florida, I believe, are what the two other schools will be. It's a good question. I would assume a lot of that conversation will come down to NIL, just as we all know with basketball. I'll get with Jerry. I've not yet honed in a lot on the college basketball side of recruiting here, but Jerry should have more on that over at OTF.com.
All right. Thank you for that question. How about this one from Cody Go Lightly for you, CJ? CJ, surely you don't think Johnny Mateer is going to have a better year than Arch?
No. I made that very clear today. I did a show with Jake Crane and the boys.
Yeah, good job on that too. I saw it and stuff.
Thank you. But no, I think Arch is going to have a much better season.
All right. How about this one from Kyle? CJ, do you think Texas faces Cam Flukie on Friday?
Good question. Yeah, that's one of the best pitchers in all of college baseball. Texas has a big game Friday night, East Carolina. Woo, that is a kid getting projected out of college to be a top 10 pick in the MLB draft next year. So that I hope so. I know he was dealing with a bit of a I believe shoulder injury, arm injury, but I hope so. Just for the sake of college baseball, that would be fantastic to see one of the best pitchers against a top 3 lineup right now.
All right, thank you for that. Cisco, he said, how about this one? Maybe you get on this, coach. Does Texcalibur disappear with Muschamp as DC? For those who don't know, Texcalibur is the sword, the celebratory sword Texas would use when they would force a turnover or get a takeaway, and they would stab a football with the sword and celebrate on the sideline. Is that the vibe with Muschamp, coach? Do you see that?
I don't see Muschamp as being a gimmick guy.
Uh-huh,
you know,
yeah.
I just think he's too old school for the gimmick stuff, you know.
I agree with Coach on that one.
Yeah.
Hear me out, Coach. Hear me out. This is Will Muschamp trademark celebration. A turnover whiteboard. The guy gets the ball and he runs right through it.
There you go. Crazy. Now, I can get behind that.
Honestly,
that would be a great one.
If the guys don't do it on the field, I need fans in the stands. I need y'all to do it. I need y'all with the defense do something good. Have a fake whiteboard and somebody just smashing it. That would be good. Well done, TJ. I like that. Cisco also says, I see a red line. I see a line of red on the helmet. I wonder if it's Nebraska. Yeah. I do. It's right there. You're right. It's right there. I don't know if y'all can see it now. It's right there.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Down like that, huh?
I don't know who. You're right. It could be. I'm trying to think. When we played, it got to be Oklahoma. It's got to be Oklahoma. Could be Nebraska. I don't know if my senior year we was hitting that hard in the Nebraska game. Maybe. I assume it's coming from my senior year, but
it could be your daughter's Crayola.
Oh no, she don't have access to it. I'll let her in his office. She'll take all my papers. It'll be man. She'll trash some great stats. Y'all don't want her in here. All right, a couple of more here. Marco says, Rod, you mentioned that multiplicity is the future of football. In your opinion, would you prefer players that stick to football and learn several positions or someone who played multiple sports? I'd like both. I know Sark's a big multiple sport guy. That's one of the data points in his evaluations. He loves multiple sport guys. And he also mentioned today that Grayson Littleton is going to be playing nickel and corner. He mentioned also who else, CJ, is going to be playing multiple positions in the secondary. He basically said he'd like everybody to do it.
Yeah, Xavier Filsaime was one.
That's when he dropped. You're right.
And we'll see, right? I've heard some rumblings behind the scenes that, look, Bo Masco could be a guy that gets a look at nickel.
You could, yeah.
So again, March 9th, couldn't get here sooner.
Yep. I like a guy that plays multiple positions, and I like a guy that can step on the football field and say multiple sports and step on the football field and learn multiple positions. But if I had to choose, I take a guy that probably plays multiple positions just because I'm a football guy. The sport thing, it translates to overall athleticism. But if I can get a guy like, let's say, honestly, who fits that mold on the team right now? Jelani McDonald probably kind of fits that mold. Like, he's a freaky. Like, I know they don't literally put him in different positions, but if you just look at where he lines up, he essentially lines up in the box. They line him up at safety, lines up at slot, lines up on the line. I believe in the must-champ defense. If I have to look at who has the most versatility in terms of where they line up, it would probably be him.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Marco. All right. Thank you for the super chat. Last one of the night. Want to get y'all's thoughts. Was a great post last week saying Michigan and Texas are sister programs culturally, academically, and on the field. Damn. Sister schools. What we have anything in common with Michigan like that? Is that just long terms of football, blue blood, histories and tradition? Education,
right? Michigan's a damn good school.
It is. I've never heard that, but it's interesting to think about. Like, I've never heard about that. I never heard that. But
I don't hate it.
In terms of how Texas views themselves, I bet Michigan they view themselves the same way in terms of their brand, and they believe they're not going to sacrifice academics. Like Sark made the comment today, our guys go to class, right? We physically go to class. We don't just have online classes for guys. And he said that he's mocking, right, that flagship status, reputation in academics, athletic prowess, size and scope, sizable student bodies, similar culture. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I've never thought about that. Superiority complex. Yeah, some of that too. All right. Thank you. All right. I appreciate that. I will ponder that a little bit more. Coach, thank you. Appreciate you joining us. Appreciate the wisdom and the knowledge. Thank you, CJ. Great stuff as always. Appreciate your hard work. Thanks to Matthew behind the scenes. Nobody does it better. He's the real MVP. And thanks to my man, lifetime Longhorn Stevie Lee, my former teammate, for joining us as well. Courtesy of our good friends at Hard Grove Roofing. And also shout out to Vaughn Lane as our lead sponsor for tonight's program. If we missed any of your questions, actually, I don't know if we missed many of them, but we apologize if we did. Please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning, 8:15. The man, the myth, the legend himself, Bobby Burton, and I one and only Jerry Hamilton. And tomorrow as well, I'll be joining you tomorrow. I'll be on there with Jeff tomorrow, I believe. It'll be me and Jeff for the Tuesday night live stream at 7:15 p.m. tomorrow. So if you got questions for me, don't worry about it. I'll be on tomorrow, and I'll be on Wednesday too. All right, so 3 straight days I'll be on the PM live streams. For CJ and for Coach and for Matthew, I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.